What is going on, everybody? This is Mace Valor here on Unfiltered Part 5, Retail Ready Career Center, the labs. Now, the thing about the labs is before you even really go into the labs, all right, I'll just talk about it like from my perspective. We touched in a lab. I think we got a tour on the first day, but we really didn't get involved in the labs until like the third day. Right now, there's a lot of labs, which is these classrooms that are set up with furnaces and the AC units, the condensers. So we spent a lot of time doing the book stuff and all that shit, right? You know, refrigeration cycle, latent heat, fucking voltages, refrigeration types, all that. The EPA, hell, I'll have to make a separate video on EPA, but all that shit, right? But then we would go in the labs and to use our tools and physically get our hands on the stuff. Now, we did get a lot of lab time, but not as much that was advertised, because before I came, they said, oh yeah, 20% class time, 80% lab time. That was definitely not the fucking case. Not by a long shot. It was definitely reversed. And the reason behind that was because there was 300 students in multiple different classrooms with a lot of instructors. Now, this also goes back to an administration thing, which before we left, they had implemented and changed that they were going to get with administration and write down a schedule for when certain labs could be used by certain instructors in their classes. So since I was there, things have been streamlined, or so I assume, from the last day I was there and that they implemented that. But basically, it was a free-for-all. If we would want to go to a lab, our instructor would go find one. He'd come back, hey, I found a lab. He'd take some of us over. Someone else already fucking took it. We had to go back to the room. We had our all-stars, our 4 guys that sat in the back row. We sat wherever, and then when they rearranged us, those 4 guys were sitting in the back, right? And they would basically go and work on shit all the time. And they were ones, some of them, one of them was already been an installer for like a year and a half or something like that. And the other ones of them were very inclined mechanically with a lot of other stuff. One of them, I swear to God, this guy was like related to Einstein somehow. This dude, was it Robert? Oh my God, that dude was just a fucking genius when it came to this shit. But it's like, start talking about calculus and all this crazy shit, and anything that came up, he might as well have been an instructor. I mean, this dude was fucking fabulous. No homo. So anyway, so we would go to labs and we would work on stuff, and I wish they did more troubleshooting, because they wanted us to get used to how the system's working, right? Which was cool, which was great. So we're working on the systems in the tune-up fashion, and we're trying to see what's going on. But we didn't charge systems very much. I think, no, while I was there, I never did. We talked about it, we did a demonstration of it, but not all of us got to charge systems. Not all of us got to recover refrigerant. Not all of us got to pull vacuums. I pulled a vacuum one time while I was there. When we did brazing, we just did it on copper tubes. We didn't actually do it on, cutting the line set and brazing shit back together. And we didn't do that stuff, which I thought would have been fucking great. I did a pump down once while I was there, which was relatively straightforward. I'm not gonna lie though. So I learned a lot while I was in the school with the labs. But I'm telling you, when you actually get out and you go to work, you're gonna learn a lot more. Now, as a tech, the most experience I've learned from another tech was from the guy that also went to the school. I learned a lot from him. But then there's this other guy I work with, Ryan. Dude, this guy, he's a beast, man. I've learned a lot from him. I can really rely on him. He's been doing this a while. And with him, I get a lot more of the, I guess, the mathematics, science, CPM. I'm horrible with acronyms. And the tools and shit, like, there's a different type of knowledge I get from him as well. So those 2 guys, so glad that I work with them. They're top notch. And there's another guy that we had, but he doesn't work with us anymore, sadly. Learned quite a bit from him too. Really how to talk to customers and explain stuff, break them down, kind of charm them. So you learn a lot more when you get out, but while you're in the school, you fucking learn a shitload, right? You're gonna learn all the book stuff. You're gonna learn all the laws, the EPA stuff. You're gonna really get like a better sense of the industry and the science of how everything works out. And you're going to get lab time to actually take what you learned and apply it to this stuff, right? It's going to be great. The thing with the labs, though, while I was there, is that we didn't get them as much as we wanted. Or I should say as much as we needed in the times that we did go in there, And there's a lot of stuff that we didn't learn, like, install stuff. We didn't learn, like, how to run duct and stuff, which, I told Robert, or a different Robert, I told him, hey, man, just tell me how to do it, because I was at a job. And it's like, just tell me how to do it, and I'll do it. Took 2 minutes to show me. It's like, fuck, I went up in that tiny fucking attic and fucking busted that shit out. Boy, man. You're going to learn a lot of stuff. And if you go to this school, definitely take advantage of the lab time. Definitely go in on Saturdays. Go in on Saturdays. I am telling you, go in on Saturdays, get that extra lab time. Even if, like I said, with this new stuff that they implemented, and get a lot of lab time during the week, take at least 3. Half the Saturdays that you're there, just to go there for at least a half day. Just go there in the fucking morning and leave at lunch, and just fucking bust it out. Just go in, do some lab stuff, like make sure, just recalibrate it. It's like, hey, there's less noise, there's less people. You get more individual one-on-one time with the instructors, and then you're golden. And that's going to help you a long way. Now, there's a lot of people that went there that would do fantastic in the labs, not do as well on the written tests. Now, the way that our teacher was, is on the final grade, he valued the labs at a far higher percentage than the other stuff, right? So, anyway, that's like a quick breakdown of the labs. They're actually pretty good. You're working with a range of systems, I would say 20 years at the most. The oldest system you work on is probably 20 years old. The newest one you'll probably work on is maybe a year and a half, or they probably put another one in since I've been gone. So you're gonna work, with a wide variety of manufacturers. So that's gonna be interesting. They're gonna break down the complexity of figuring out information just from the model and serial number, which fortunately we all have fucking phones. We can just look that shit up on our own. But a lot of times, in my experience, actually being on the job, it's clearly written on the stuff how old it is. So that's not too bad. But knowing the age of a system really helps in diagnosing it, because if you go to a new system and there's a problem, that shouldn't, it's like a year or 2 years old, it shouldn't really be that bad. But then you got a 30-year-old system and shit's all fucked up. It's like, well, clearly that's fucking why. I mean, your shit's old as fuck. The refrigerant leaking everywhere from the coil. I mean, you gotta replace this shit, right? Anyway, getting way too far into it. Yeah, so next we're gonna quickly touch out these next ones are gonna be relatively quick, but yeah. So we're gonna talk about EPA next, and my grand advice for the EPA. Mace Valor signing off.